us lonely, longing for shelter from all that we see. Why should we worry? No one will care, girl. Look at the stars, so far away. We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, babe. Why don't you stay? Deep in my soul, I've been so lonely. All of my hopes fading away. I've longed for love like everyone else does. I've seen it all and here it all. What do you say? We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, babe. Why don't you stay?
All right, guys, how you guys doing? Truth and transparency. Welcome, moderators, members, subscribers, and those of you guys that have not become a subscriber. It's very simple. It's free. You just got to click the subscribe button. Just click. Also, you want to hit the bell if you want notifications, so you know when I go live or a video drops, anything like that. Also, if you feel like donating to a great cause, www.fightforafamily, that's the number 4, so fightforafamily.com. Again, thank you to all of the new members and new subscribers. I see a bunch of new names in chat. Love seeing new names. I want to say thank you for giving me your time and being part of the TNT family. So, real quick, those of you guys that are in live chat, want to say hi. Ellen, Jen, Rarity, Dolly, Joel, my girl Alice from Pittsburgh. Love her. Hi, Pete. Again, I'll say hi to myself. Hi, Lana. How are you? Jackie, Mert. What is up, Cybele? And all of you guys that are listening but not chatting, hello to you guys as well. Oh, Miss CD, there you go. All right, so here we go. We're kicking off with a pre-record, and then you guys will see how I'm going to be doing this series. It's interactive, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So here we go. Follow along, make comments in the live chat. All that I ask is that you do it respectfully. And this channel, all of you guys are amazing about that, so that's great.
Winning her way to fame. Silver and gold in the sunlight blaze, and romance lies in her name. Proudly, too, all our lives through, we'll go singing, singing of you, singing of Idaho.
Saturday, November 12th, 2022 started off like any other Saturday in Moscow,
So many
Idaho.
other girls in your house to help you with school, like have your back if you have problems.
A week earlier, November 6th, that was Parents Weekend, where your parents come to town and they get to hang out with you and your friends, go to your sororities or fraternities, get to meet other parents, and that's what occurred the weekend before the murders. The University of Idaho is right around 25 to 30,000 students, mostly those living on campus in some way. Dorms your first year or two, and then you're off campus housing, which is pretty much, though, right there. Prior to getting to the University of Idaho, Kaylee and Madison grew up together. They were like sisters, very close, never went too far without the other. So their journey didn't just start at the University of Idaho. It began many years before that, growing up as lifelong childhood best friends.
Really exciting because we're going to have so many adventures. I'm super excited to be able to decorate, to go to my classes, and just to learn, because that's really the point of coming up here.
I'm excited to move in.
Just like every other freshman, Kaylee, Madison, and Xana, no different. They got to enjoy the dorm life, meeting new people. All four of the Idaho 4 murdered students, they went Greek. All of them belonging to a sorority or, in Ethan's case, a fraternity. When you go away to school, you meet so many new people, you cross paths with so many people that you don't know, and you never know who could possibly be watching you more so than you take notice of. And was that the case of one of the 4 slain students? Before you know it, your first year of college is pretty much over, and you've taken that first year to get all of your core requirements hopefully taken care of or shortly thereafter in your sophomore season. After your freshman year, you basically get to pick who you want to live with, as the university kind of did that for you when they picked your roommate. But now you have your feet wet, you've made your friends, and now you have to make a decision on, are you going to move off of campus and who are you going to live with? And that's actually a very, very big decision, because everybody knows how hard it is to get along with somebody in a living environment versus just being friends with them and being able to go separate ways at night. Xana, Kaylee, Madison, and 2 other girls decided that they found themselves a home, and it was going to be 1122 King Road, part of the Greek row section of housing. 6 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms on each level. It's a 3-level house, so 6 total bedrooms, 3 total bathrooms, a bathroom on each level, washer, dryer, connect, and this is the house that they chose. Each person would have their own bedroom, just like probably any other college student. When you're choosing your house and your roommates, you either draw straws to see who picks rooms first, or depending on the layout of the house, people would charge more money for certain rooms. I'm sure that was all sorted out, but these girls picked each other to live with, and this was the home that they picked. This home was labeled as a so-called party hangout house, where friends would gather before Saturday games, late nights, things like that. When I pulled some history on the house and who it belonged to, it is registered in an LLC, and I believe there are a couple owners or partners with that LLC. But something that was interesting is that none of the victims nor the 2 surviving roommates were listed as being, even tenants. It's not public information that they're listing this address as their permanent address. So I'm not sure if they ever changed it with the post office in terms of getting their mail, and then it was just sent home in college. People could just leave their address as their parents' address, but nobody from this household had 1122 King Road as their permanent address ever.
Students, clearly very close friends. Kaylee Goncaves was a 21-year-old senior from Rathdrum who graduated from Lake City High, majoring in general studies in the College of Letters, Arts, and Social Sciences. The second victim and Lake City High graduate, Madison Mogen, was 21 years old. She was a senior from Coeur d'Alene also, majoring in marketing and in the College of Business and Economics. These two lifelong childhood friends. Coeur d'Alene schools put out a statement today reading in part, "The loss of our graduates, Kaylee and Madison, is heartbreaking. We join the University of Idaho in mourning the tragic loss of all 4 students." Ethan Chapin was a 20-year-old freshman, a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. He was majoring in recreation, sport, and tourism management in the College of Education, Health, and Human Sciences. Originally from Mount Vernon, Washington, growing up, his family spent time at Priest Lake. Xana Kernodle, a 20-year-old junior from Post Falls, was majoring in marketing in the College of Business and Economics and a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority. Xana posted a photo to social media just 2 weeks ago, wishing Ethan a happy birthday, a caption including, "Life is so much better with you in it. Love you." Mad Greek, a restaurant in the heart of downtown Moscow, shared this tweet today. They said in part, "Maddie and Xana have been servers here for several years and brought so much joy to our restaurant and all those they encountered. Mad Greek has closed their doors for the day to process and grieve the loss of these students." This is a story that we're going to be following very closely, and as we learn more, we'll keep you up to date.
Ethan is a 20-year-old freshman. That statement is very interesting to me. From this statement, if it is true, then I would like to know what Ethan was doing his past 2 years prior to becoming a freshman this year. Also, where was Ethan living? Was he living in the dorms at this time? Did he have a roommate? But what was Ethan doing 2 years before entering his freshman year this past fall? Now remember, Ethan is a triplet, so what was the other 2 siblings doing? Did they enter as freshmen this past year as well, or were they at the University of Idaho for their past 2 years? This case for me is saturated with misinformation, and it is a goal of mine always to make sure that my channel focuses on the facts and weeding out those rumors. I would like to know as well as what year and month all of these roommates signed their lease agreement with the owners of 1122 King Row.
Tonight in the chilling homicide investigation, 4 college students found dead. The photo they took together just hours before they died. Police say it was a targeted attack near the University of Idaho. Here's ABC's Kana Whitworth.
Tonight, police say 4 college students killed near the University of Idaho were victims of an isolated, targeted attack with an edged weapon like a knife, and the suspect is still at large. The deaths shattering the college town of Moscow, Idaho.
We're all feeling really empty right now.
The horror unfolding early Sunday inside this apartment across the street from campus.
The event itself actually happened in the middle of the night, 3 or 4 in the morning.
Hours later, police finding the bodies of 3 women and a man after responding to a 911 call.
The police indicated that the nature of the crime was such that it was directed and very focused, and therefore not a threat to anyone else in the city.
But tonight, families are broken. The mother of Ethan Chapin telling ABC News her son and his friends were first discovered by a classmate. One of Ethan's brothers saying, "We are triplets, and it's hard to imagine life without him." The 4 friends were all members of Greek life on campus, seen here in a photo posted by Kaylee Goncaves just hours before their deaths.
She was my, she was my sorority big sister. I'm gonna miss her a lot.
Investigators right now are working to piece together a timeline. Meanwhile, they're trying to assure everybody in the community that they are safe. But one instructor at the university telling us that the lack of details from police has a lot of people on edge right now. David, authorities have yet to publicly identify a suspect.
All right, Kana Whitworth reporting tonight. Kana, thanks.
Idaho authorities say they are, quote, making progress, unquote, in the investigation into the murders of 4 University of Idaho students, but they're still not providing many details. Police told CNN today that they have interviewed more than 90 people and received at least 700 leads. Investigators also said they found a dog at the home where the students were killed. The dog, who is seen here with one of the victims, was found unharmed. But at this hour, there's still no suspect in custody and more questions than answers. CNN's Natasha Chen took a look at the police response. This is her report.
The incomplete and sometimes contradictory information came in the first days of the investigation.
We believe this was an isolated, targeted attack on our victims.
Those words echoed in the press, perhaps leaving the impression that the police knew something that should make the public less worried. But some residents and neighbors near the crime scene were not comforted by the terms targeted and isolated.
At first, I thought that they actually had something going, so you think that makes sense, like, oh, it's targeted, and you wait to see, you know, what they say, but now they've said nothing and that they know nothing. So how can you say it's targeted?
Then the local mayor went further, telling the New York Times it could have been, quote, a crime of passion, later clarifying that was just one possibility.
They don't want people to panic. And yet, unless you have the evidence that you are willing to share with the public and be transparent about how the investigation is going, these words are completely giving false confidence.
But police say they can't share their entire case for fear of compromising the investigation.
You can't just put that out into the public's eye. It would impede the investigation, and ultimately it might impede justice at the very end of this.
But with no suspect identified, many students packed up and left town.
There's no perp caught or anything, so it's definitely uneasy on campus right now.
By day 4, police recognized their assurances of public safety weren't resonating as residents fixated on the fact a killer was not caught. Police Chief James Fry went before the cameras.
We cannot say that there's no threat to the community.
Still calling the crime targeted, but pulling back on assurances there was no public threat and pledging to release more.
I probably should have been standing here a day or so ago, but I'm here now.
Between 2016 and 2021, there were no murders in Moscow. So when the quadruple homicide stunned this town, the 36-person police force was pressed into unprecedented action. With no full-time communication staff.
You know, the messaging was a little bit off.
Idaho State Police were brought in to assist with public messaging.
And really put out, hopefully, the best information we can.
But the rumor mill has been hard to control. A report of a man loitering at a food truck near 2 of the victims was knocked down by police, who later said they eliminated the man as a suspect. Reports that someone's pet dog was, quote, skinned 3 weeks before the killings are also believed to be unrelated. Meanwhile, police are trying to protect the integrity of the investigation.
If you flood the public with information of everything that's going on, then stories might start emerging.
Stories are already emerging. Rumors are emerging.
Yeah, unfortunately, rumors are out there. People want answers. You know, a lot of times, or all the time on TV, you know, these are solved within 60 minutes. There's an appetite to make sure these are done, and we totally respect that, and we will put out as much information as we can, as soon as we can.
Though some victims' families have expressed frustration with a lack of information.
Together, we want to extend gratitude to the following.
This week, the family of Ethan Chapin acknowledged answers and justice can only come now from police.
The Moscow Police Department, who now carry the burden every day, not only for us, but for all of the impacted families.
This is a preview file. For example use only.
This is episode number 1, the timeline. Xana did live at 1122 King Road. Ethan did not. To this day, no official report on where he actually did reside. You know, was it a dorm? Was it a house? Kaylee and Madison were at the corner club from 10 to 1 a.m. They allegedly walked to the food truck that was located on Main Street. A friend was making sure they got home safely and was seen, quote-unquote, lurking in the background. He has since been ruled out by investigators. The 2 unharmed roommates, they came back to their house at 1122 King Road and went to bed at 1 a.m., according to investigators. They also had their doors locked.
This is a preview file. For example use only.
The rest of this episode involves all of you guys. We're going to help fill in some of the timeline, some of the questions of all the roommates, as well as any unknown person or persons that were interviewed that identified themselves or others being inside the residence that day to party, to hang out. This is a Home Team Productions. Truth and Transparency. Thanks you guys for being here. All right, guys. Again, weeding out what we know, what we don't know, rumors. The first thing I have on the list to talk about, does anybody else want to talk about the fact that Ethan was a 20-year-old freshman? I put that down. I'm just curious what Ethan, was doing the previous 2 years, or if that is just a typo. So curious to see and hear your thoughts on Ethan being a 20-year-old freshman. Next up on the list is the living arrangements. How long were they all roommates? When did the lease start? Was it a year lease? And something that has now come to light is the fact that Kaylee was no longer living there, took a job and going to start her new job after the first of the year and was moving to Texas. That begs for me to ask this question, which would be moving out. So did she sign a year lease to lease the school year? Did something happen? Was it just an opportunity that arose? Was she going to be graduating, after the first semester? So maybe he went to junior college on the cheap, or he needed to get it together first. Absolutely, those are definitely options. I'm just curious as to what. But if you went to a junior college first, you wouldn't be listed as a freshman. You would still be, a JUCO transfer, which would put you, based on your credits, you wouldn't be considered a freshman. Nobody signs. So it was a 6-bedroom. If you have the 2 unharmed roommates, and then you have the 3 murdered roommates, that's 5. It's a 6-bedroom. Was there ever another person residing there that made it a complete 6 full house? Was anybody planning on moving in? Things like that. Maybe it is a typo, yep. Maybe Xana convinced him to re-enroll, or he took a me year. Yep, things like that. Yeah, these are all things that I'm just kind of surprised that they haven't been more or less talked about. Once you say that somebody was targeted, so then what I did is I made one of these people are targeted, okay? And do I think that one of the people were targeted? I do. With that being said, I think it's interesting how people want to say, well, the 2 girls had their doors locked, and that's why they, weren't attacked. If somebody wants to get to you, especially if they're inside your home, like that, if you actually look at the layout of the house and those 2 girls being on the first floor, there are windows, but if somebody wants to get into your room and it's locked, taking a knife and pushing it through what I would consider a cheap college door, the wood, but I think that somebody could probably get to you if they wanted to. But let's go talk about this target. I think that if you're going to go into someone's home right there alone, that's pretty risky. That tells me that somebody knows that they don't have cameras. Okay, because guess what? They didn't have cameras. If it's targeted and Kaylee no longer lives there, Ethan didn't live there, now you're left with 3 people that, that did live there, which 2 of them were unharmed. So now you're left with 1 person. Okay? So let's think about that now. You got Ethan, he doesn't live there. You got Kaylee who moved out. So Kaylee, depending on how her room was gathered up, did she even still have a bed there? Would she would have been sleeping with, in the same bed as her best friend? Then you have Xana and her boyfriend. They're going to sleep in the same bed. And since 2 of them were found on the 2nd level and then 2 of them were found on the 3rd level, well, obviously on each of the levels, like I said earlier, there's 2 bedrooms per level, okay? One which was not even occupied because they only had 5 roommates. There was only 5 people living there. Then you have Kaylee who's no longer living there, so depending on what her room looked like. So now you're down to 4 bedrooms. The 2 of which on the first floor were 100% occupied. Those were those surviving roommates. Now, does that mean that Xana was the target? Or could it have been, if Kaylee had been staying back at her parents' house, that somebody saw an opportunity because they saw her that day or got wind on social media because she had been posting and whatnot that she was actually at and staying at the house. But now if someone's going to be going off of social media and you didn't know that ahead of time, I kind of question that. I would love to know when their plans were made, what type of plans they had, when they made them. Because I don't think this was decided last minute to do. I could be wrong, but now let's go ahead and look here at chat to see what you guys think about the 2 things that I just mentioned, which was Ethan being a 20-year-old freshman. Was there any issues that possibly surrounded that? How long were these girls all roommates? When did they sign this lease? When was it supposed to last to? And were they planning on having new roommates come in and occupy those rooms? And did anybody ever live with them prior to make it a 6 complete house? So let's see what you guys have. Jen says, I'm shocked about the lease, you guys. It's such a big part of building independence. Damn, so sad. Let's see. The other roommates have been very quiet. Yes. As far as the 911 call goes, guys, this is how I understand it. Obviously everybody was tight-lipped about it, but the 911 call went as follows, which was one of the girls inside, wakes up obviously later on in the morning, finds one of the bodies, and was in such shock, goes outside, was hysterical, and then she kind of like fainted and passed out. And in that process, though, she had, neighbors are surrounding that area. Whether or not she made a phone call to a friend before calling the police, that's still not sure, but that it was the reason that they were making this call and how this transpired that an unconscious person was there is because the unconscious person was one of the roommates. Once they had gotten out of the house, they kind of fainted over everything, and then that person called 911 due to an unconscious person. That is what led to all of this. That's an interesting question as far as anybody being gagged. Not sure. Hello, Jeffrey. Thanks for saying hi. DJ, they have to know more than authorities are saying right now. Authority always knows more than they're saying. That's without a doubt. So I agree. Yeah, the first floor, as far as like calling it like a basement, I mean, this was a completely finished house on all levels. All levels had a bathroom and a nice washer dryer connect. The washer and dryer came with it. And there was an entrance into the house, the first floor, as well as if you used, then on the second level, that's where the entrance was if you were using the sliding door. What do we know about the one person that lived there but wasn't harmed? Well, I was told 2 people that lived there that were unharmed. And those were the 2 people that were occupying the 2 first floor bedrooms. And it is really quiet about what they were doing. For example, they got home at 1 o'clock in the morning and then allegedly just went straight to bed. Now, that's going to be, from all accounts, their own admissions, is my guess. But where were they prior to? What were their plans? Did people's plans change? You have to think like a college kid thinks. I mean, you usually make your plans, like you just know that you're, hanging out or doing whatever, unless it was like a big event week. So like the previous weekend was Parents' Weekend. That's something that you're going to plan out a little more in detail. But you got to start thinking like a college kid. And everybody was really active on social media, right? But if you were not friends with certain people, then you wouldn't be able to see certain people's social medias. So if people are saying that they were able to know certain things because of social media, well, depending on if they had private or, public social media accounts would definitely be important, because you're not going to be able to see people's posts if they're private. There definitely was a football game that weekend. There definitely was. Unconscious stab with guy in blood. So no. They're not calling the people that are inside the unconscious person. Okay? It's like, DJ, let's say that you came over to my house because I called you. Or not even that I called you, that you're my next door neighbor. And I am screaming hysterical outside of my house. And you walk outside of your house and you see me and you come over to me and I just pass out in your arms. And like I fainted and I'm unconscious, and like maybe I even say to you, oh my God, call the police. And then like I just pass out. Like I'm fainting. That's where the 911 call happened. So you're calling because of me passing out. That is my understanding. And then from there, it was once the cops had got there, when other people had went into the house, then that's when the bodies were found. So I'm trying to explain it the best way that I can. Now that to me makes sense with then what ends up happening is that it went from being an unconscious person, right? I don't know if a second 911 call was made in terms of if then they went in the house and then another 911 call was made because of maybe like the other roommate. And then they were passing this phone around. And then multiple people were heard on this 911 call. So could there be actually 2 911 calls? Yeah, I definitely think that there could have been. But because now if you think about it, let's look at the press conferences. They were drilling them about this 911 call. And you want to know why? This is why. People knew stuff, but they were trying to get it out of the police to talk about it. Hot Ham says, why did Nancy Grace say that they weren't finding DNA matches for the perp? Well, probably what they mean by that is whatever DNA they would have had, it was being run through and there wasn't getting any hits in the system. Is that what they're saying? I'm guessing, guys, that there'd be a lot of DNA in that house. If you got solo red cups and people were drinking and partying, you're going to have lots of DNA. So that to me is confusing unless you're talking about on the body. But none of that's been released. And Nancy Grace is a loudmouth who needs clicks and views. So let's go back to logic, because that's just not what Nancy Grace is. So the parents are frustrated. And I think it's because there's parents that know more. And they want to be able to talk about some things. And they want to maybe know why aren't they, and things like that. So this all happens, and then there's some arrests that happen. Xana's mom is arrested. It has to do with drugs. And I think it was, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, people asked me, do I think that had something to do with it? I can't say that it has something to do with the murders, but I definitely think that it's like a lifestyle, like of, okay, what is it? Like, are we talking about? What type of arrest and for what when it's talking about drugs? So let's take a look. Andrea says, yes, she really is loud. I mean, she just screams. Like, wow, I can't believe she still has a career. So here, something I want to pull up is... Okay, so we're looking at a November 19th arrest date. Kara. Here we go. And I just like this guy's voice, so I'm just going to add to screen here. So don't mind me.
Arrest on drug charges. Now, rather than going through the entire inmate list. I'm going to put a screenshot here for you guys because I went through there and found her within that. And they're basically saying, look, there's a big bond to get her out. Look, as tragedy continues to dominate headlines and authorities investigate what happened, web sleuths are doing their part by digging up information on all possible angles. Is anyone going to call out the fact that Xana Kanodel's mother, Cara, was arrested on November 19th on drug charges and is being held on a $50,000 bond? One Twitter user attached a screenshot from the current inmate list, and that's what I showed you, a list, the screenshot of there. The Kootenai County Jail in Idaho. It's pretty stiff bond and happened so close to the death of Xana and the roommates not to be relevant, they added. And look, could it be that it's nothing to do with it?
This is a history that goes back several years. His voice, just had to. Yes, that accent though, right? I was like, yeah, he gets my nod for the little clip it. I'm starting from the beginning. Oh, you should, Boston. It's a great opener. So, drug charges. I mean, absolutely. So go ahead and put that down on there as, nobody was sexually assaulted. Okay. So what's the motive? I've seen people write things like, oh my God, all these people were so beautiful, pretty, like, well, any type of sexual assault, somebody desiring somebody, that to me is not the case. Now, opportunity. If somebody knows that these people party hard and, they get drunk and they're just unable to, fight back in any type of a way, would an opportunity be that you'd want to do this when they were intoxicated? Yes, but why? Why do you need to, kill these 4 people? Or I should say, why do you need to even kill, like, the target? Yeah, do I think it's crazy that it happened 1 week, the arrest after her daughter was murdered? I mean, her daughter was murdered. And then she's, picked up on these drug charges. You guys have never seen his face before. Well, there you go. There's a face with it. I'm going to be looking up here. So, here we go. Roommates need to looked at really closely. One sister of the deceased said her sister was a mean girl. She brings her new car, etc. Maybe some animosity there. Well, according to authorities, they've ruled out, that that anybody that was surviving had anything to do with it. Okay? I gotta go back to this, guys. Okay, so when I was in college, there's no way that I'm starting a school year, okay, without a plan in place that if I knew my roommates or one of them would be leaving. So we have a house that fits 6 people. And we currently, let's say that I'm one of the roommates that live in this house. So I'm one of the 5. And well, why didn't we have a 6th to start off the year? Okay. Oh no, I'll just have us 5, But then you know that one of them is going to be leaving. So then you're going to be down to 4. Like, when did that decision come into play that she was moving to Texas? I know people don't think that the stuff I think about is important, but it kind of is. Parents normally pay for their kids in one way or another. So let's say that I'm a parent of one of these 5, and I'm saying, oh, well, so-and-so is going to be moving out. Like, how does that work with like rent and stuff like that? What's going on? Because I'm paying for it, you know, if parents are paying for it, or if you're, I guess, pulling money from the school, you're eventually going to pay for it in loans. But I think that's kind of a big deal to kids, to figuring out like the whole housing situation, because the house fits 6, but we already only have 5, but now we're about to have 4. I mean, obviously all girls, that's how it is in college. I mean, normally your houses, you're like that. You're with your roommates and it's normally the same sex. When you look at this place, you can see that the housing is kind of right on top of each other. So how does this person go completely unnoticed? How much blood are we really talking about? You know, multiple stabbings. Was the TVs on? Was the, music on? But ultimately, right away, they were coming out the gate right away saying that somebody was targeted. Well, if you're going to target somebody that doesn't live at that place, and in their home, is that like the safest place to do it? Why would somebody think that that would be the safest place to do it? Do you think that somebody thought this through? Because it is a party house. There's going to be, all this DNA in there. And how are they going to be able to say that it's me if, think about that. This is like a very, how's it sound? It's going to sound so bad. But if you want to get away with a murder, I mean, what better way to get away with a murder if you think about it? You got a bunch of drunk people, they get drunk all the time. They get drunk to the point that they pass out. It's not like just getting tipsy. Was this person expecting there to be 2 girls in the one bed? Do we know for sure that the killer actually even went on the first floor at all? All the technology that we have right now, and how much time do you think that took to have that happen? Maybe ran an ad in Craigslist. Ads were showing property. I looked and I couldn't find anything about that. I did check that. Kelly O says, I heard she graduated or was going to graduate early, but that story doesn't make sense with timing. When I was in school, we were responsible for paying until we were placed or for the entire year. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm concerned. Like, I just want to know what the whole leasing situation was like. Also, why did they even start off the school year with, having 5? Was there ever a 6th? They were both really, really drunk at the food truck. I still question everything to do with the Range Rover. They said, the 2 girls, so you got 2 girls that worked at, the Mad Greek place, right? And they've known each other for a couple years, even just because of them working there. So I thought about it and I said, it's a really good possibility that that's actually where they met, was by working there. And that's how those 2 met. But, so those 2 work. There's no talks about, Ethan and him working anywhere. Then you got the girl that just bought the Range Rover. Well, where'd she work? And I just feel like the people that are doing these interviews just suck. Like, I'm sorry, but they're just asking ridiculous questions. The Range Rover is definitely an interesting purchase because the two people that are being talked about as having a job, she's not one of them. I have heard nothing about that restaurant lady since early last week. What restaurant lady? I love when Hot Ham gets fired up. No, because I was listening to the parents' interviews, and the mom says, you know, she worked really hard and she, you know, saved up this money. Well, 9 times out of 10, you're usually, I mean, was it a lease? What, you know, really was it bought? Because, and how much is that going for? You know, even a used couple-year-old Range Rover, those are a bitch to fix when you need parts and stuff like that. When I had my Beamer, you know, you're paying so much for that type of stuff. The lady at the Greek restaurant who immediately blabbed. But yeah, I didn't get an answer as far as, you know, yeah, she worked hard. She saved up her money. I'm just curious, where did she work? She wasn't, like I said, wasn't living there anymore. Well, if it wasn't for the parents, we wouldn't even know that. Also, what we wouldn't know is we would be thinking that Ethan lived there because that's what the reports were, you know. That there was, you know, 4 murdered people, 2 were unharmed, 6 bedrooms, and everyone was like, oh yeah, they were all roommates. Well, no, they weren't. That's not true. So you got this target. Somebody wants to target somebody. And they're like, oh, it happened between 3 and 4 a.m. Well, why 3 and 4 a.m.? Where's that coming from? My guess is that Xana and Ethan were actually in the same bed. That's my guess. She had her, obviously, her bed there, and he's staying with her. And since he's a dude, I'm just assuming like they're going to be staying in her room versus, you know, staying on the couch in the living room or something like that. And so then you have, you know, the other 2 girls, you know, that they're making phone calls up until a certain time. And I believe it was like 2:56. And then it was, you know, no more on the phones. So I think that's why they're placing the deaths after 3 because of the phones. I give the girls a lot of credit that they're still up after that. I mean, they come home, did they smash that food? Where was the food left? Kaylee was the one they stated were targeted, or am I reading that wrong? They actually haven't said which one. They haven't said which one. I think a lot of people are assuming that because there was somebody that came forward with a report that she was being stalked. But that has, you know, surfaced nothing so far. Yep, the sister said it was normal to get drunk and dial phone calls. Absolutely. And to me, then people were like, well, then why did the other girl start calling that boyfriend? Well, it could be for, I believe, two different reasons. One, maybe her phone died. So she was like, here, use your phone. Or, because that to me makes the most sense. Or 2, just like, hey, call and see if he answers from your phone. Because he's not answering mine. Because I know that I'm lazy a lot and just won't plug my phone in, and after when it dies, and I'll just here, you know, use yours. Yes, I don't think that that's too strange as far as like calling him and whatnot. I would like to know if they talked to him throughout that night, because when they were at the food truck place, she does take that selfie, but she angles it because she gets him in the background in the picture. And what I think it was, and why I think she did that, was because I think that she sent that to possibly even like her her ex-boyfriend. Sounded like they were going to get back together. It sounded like from the mom, but I could see something like, oh my God, guess who I ran into? And you take a picture and you're like, oh my God, he's being such a sweetheart. Like he's making sure that we get home okay. Like something like that. I'm waiting on the reports. This is said by Maroney's mom. I'm waiting for the reports on what was in their system. I'm sorry, but if you're being stabbed in the torso area, why is no one hearing screams? Absolutely. And I think that a lot of this has to do with if there was music on, if there was TVs on, and if people were passed out, like drunk style. Also, if you're hearing that, but you're not thinking anything of it, like that people were just like playing around or something. But, you know, it's... I would think if someone was targeted, that one of the victims was killed different, meaning more overkill or other things done, not done to the others. Absolutely. Because that's what led investigators to even think that in the first place. So it would definitely be something that would be different. But so if you know these people and you know, like, so for example, if you know Kaylee's always with Madison and vice versa, like you're going to know that if you know them. Ethan and Xana, like, were they always together? If somebody wanted this to be like, if it was just only supposed to be for one person, was there a better time and place to do this? I mean, was the plan to take out all of the roommates if need be? Also, I kind of rule out, obviously, that the two that were unharmed, they weren't the targets because they were unharmed. And was somebody, you know, sitting there waiting? Because at 1 o'clock, people come home. Then allegedly at 1:45. And then Kaylee and Madison come home around like 1:56. And then you have to wait to the point of like, that everyone's asleep. How do you know that they're asleep? Think about that. How do you know that everybody is asleep? Like, why didn't this happen at, let's say, 2 a.m.? Because, okay, everyone's home. Or like, 2:30. Who's to say that... See, but this doesn't make any sense to me. You would definitely, once you call 911, you wouldn't... Like, what if one of the people weren't dead and they just were able to grab their phone and just like hit the same button because they couldn't, dial the 911 call, so they just kept hitting, one on speed dial. I don't think that that's the case at all, but it's like they knew to wait longer than just, okay, everybody's in the house, now we can go in. How would you know that? Oh, I asked above and I think it was missed. Sorry if it was. What if the perp just was not done and the roommate woke up? What if the perp just was not done and the roommate woke up? In terms of it being... is there more to that there? A thrill killer. I just think that whoever did this is more organized than people think. Lana, you may need some helpers. Idaho, PA, Delphi, overload. What's up, Ashley? How are you? Let's see. Do I know what the other two roommates were up to that night? No, that's being very tight-lipped. That's what I'm asking. That's why I'm saying, you know, where were they before 1 a.m. of getting home? So 2 super close friends killed and the couple killed. What would make sense to me, you know, obviously if it's a targeted attack, is if the person that you're targeting was actually in their room, but there was another person in there that you weren't expecting to be in that bed. So, and then people then waking up or hearing it, but the bottom 2 people didn't. So then you are taking out, obviously, you know, all 4 of them. But to me, it seems like they waited until, maybe everybody had left the house. Did other people go back there? If the first 2 roommates went down and went to bed at 1, that would mean the way that they would talk to investigators is this is how it would go. Okay, I'm sorry, you know, we have to do this, but I have to ask you some questions. Like, what time did you guys come home last night? Did you guys see them? And the answers to all of those questions would be no, we didn't see them because we were in our bed and downstairs and had the door locked at, you know, by 1 a.m. Do you guys always lock your doors? Was anybody else in your house when you guys went, you know, to bed? Was the sliding door open? But if they're saying they went down and went to bed at 1 a.m., when the investigators would be asking, so did you see any of them that night when they came home? Now, unless they got up and out of their room for something, I went and got a glass of water, so yeah, I ended up seeing them. But those are the type of questions that would come up. Rumor one person was not in the bedroom, probably the kid. He was pretty big too, 6'4", or it could have been in one of the bathrooms if somebody was like, you know, not feeling good, throwing up in the bathroom. I was told, if you listen to the first mom, Ethan's mom does the first interview, and she says that those 2 were in the same room. That, but she doesn't specify and say bedroom. She says that they were found in the same room. And that would be Ethan and his girlfriend. You can catch that on, you know, on that interview. And that was like right away. So if you put those 2 in the same room, which I put them in her bedroom, now you're going to have to ask the roommates, like, hey, does Ethan normally spend the night? You know, maybe he doesn't. Maybe she takes him home and so the person didn't think that he would be there. Congrats on your son turning 4 tomorrow. Love it. Getting hungry, guys. It's time for dinner. Oh, Carrie Ann, how are you? Finally catching you live. Love your channel and content. Thank you for putting your research, thoughts, and opinions out there. You're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Hot Ham says, oh, it's very organized on law enforcement's part. That's why I'm hooked. You think this is the law enforcement's organized? He cracked me up. I was going to say that maybe the murder was not finished and just woke up and went screaming outside. And she woke up and went screaming outside. 4chan has decided the roommate Dylan did it. I don't think we can trust 4chan anymore. What roommate Dylan? Was that like an old roommate? Or, oh wait, that's one of the roommates that was downstairs. That's right. Sorry, I'm going back through the comments to... There you go. Jen Madison says, the person would have had to be really lucky and knew they didn't own any weapons and exactly guess when they would fall asleep and that no one else could happen upon the scene. Makes me think. Yeah, or that like, okay, well, so then guys, they have to leave. You have to leave. So there would be some type of bloody trail if this was in fact a big bloody mess, right? So are there trail, like, I mean, I get this, once you get to the gravel, it's going to be, you know, crazy, but if you want the slider, that's not gravel right away. Did the killer clean up after themselves? I mean, was it trampled through because there was all the people the next morning? But how about no camera catches? Like, what type of cars are passing by? Like, there's got to be some ring footage around that you can at least get some, cars traveling. Or was this person on foot and they just, walked right into their apartment after that? And, what apartments over there are only like one person apartments? Because I think you're going to notice if like your roommate comes home and the bathroom's just a bloody mess from them trying to clean up. Like, you can try to clean up all that all you want, but you're going to, I think, see some blood. Normally when you're using a knife, you can tend to cut your own, your own self. I always locked my door when I shared a house with 5 people in college, always. And I'm going to tell you guys, I didn't, but I'm a wild one. That was said by Octavia. A blind squirrel. I'm also of the opinion the killer was already in the house, possibly hidden under the bed of the victim. I think that could be a possibility. I think that you'd really have to sit down with the 2 surviving victims and say, or I can call them 2 surviving roommates and say, hey, so when you guys came back, like, nobody was there. Was the house all locked up? They made sure, this is said by Martin, they made sure to say on the news that it was a town where they did not lock the doors. I think if it was the roommates, they would know before that police would look at them first. Yeah, I don't think it was the roommates at all. But that doesn't mean that the roommates couldn't have had possible knowledge of what was about to happen. But I just doubt it. If they were calling X to come over late night, maybe needed some, but do we know time home versus calls made to Jack? I don't think that they were calling to get some, considering that you're going to be sharing your room with another person, but maybe they were into having a threesome that night. No, I think it was just a typical, like, she wanted to talk to, I think she was missing him, because that was part of like what her mom was saying, that, they had just broken up not too long ago. She was just being weird, but that they were going to, get back together here soon, and that, what was the word? Oh, that they were probably going to get married. So I just have a question, like, did he have plans to move to Texas? The dog was there. The dog was there. Law enforcement is organizing a deflect and distraction campaign. That's according to Octavia. Octavia, I need shots to read off your questions. I mean, your answers, or whatever we're doing here. Hot ham. I've looked through all the archive police daily activity reports and cannot find anything about Buddy the dog. Keep searching. Now, let's see. I agree, Jen. Super risky to enter a 6-bedroom home without knowing what to expect. Girls can shoot too. Yes or no? I'm telling you guys, these were your typical girls. This was like an average weekend for them. Like they just, live it up, get saucy, and they would be, easy targets if it's somebody that's stalking or like that knows their pattern of behavior. Just to think about though, like the weekend before was Parents' Weekend. Like so sad. I agree. Octavia, I agree. Somebody has to have some ring footage. No cameras, possibly drug house or something. Selling drugs there. Don't want those comings and goings on documents. Yeah, I mean, they say that nothing was allegedly taken from the house. Well, how do they know that? Maybe there was a huge stash of like a bunch of drugs that were taken. I'm just saying when they want to say like, well, nothing seems to be like missing from the house. Well, just some kilos, I'm just kidding. But it's definitely like a possibility. Let's see. Lana, I mean the skinned dog, not Murphy. I know, I just can't even talk about that. But I'm just crazy. I just think it's crazy that the dog was there. Like, you would think that the dog would be in the bedroom with, and that was Kaylee's dog, right? Well, see, that's the other thing that doesn't make sense. She wasn't living there anymore, but yet had her dog with her because she was just like going and showing her Range Rover and spending one night that you brought your dog with you. Oh, just leave Murph at the house. Like why wouldn't you just leave Murphy at her parents' house? Yeah, Murphy's living the high life and he's got that paparazzi on his tail. Jesus, on him. It's not that easy to stab, 4 people to death. No, it's not. And it's not easy to stab one person to death. I mean, you got to be one sick, twisted psycho, according to Dave. They could have been letting the dog out and got ambushed. Yeah, but I think they had called it a night. Like, it just... But I'm just surprised the dog was with her. But wouldn't the dog be at her parents'? I get it. People take their dogs everywhere, but I understand. But like, if that's not your house anymore, and if like none of your dog stuff's there, like your food and stuff. I mean, so I don't know. I just wouldn't want to be. If I'm going there I just wouldn't want to be bothered with my dog because I would have to take care of my dog. And then like I'm gonna be out the whole time and just like gallivanting around, like my dog's just gonna be by themselves. Actually, I never thought about the dog. I'm shocked the dog was there, unless the dog was living there during the transitional period, like of her moving. Oh, we'll just keep Murph here for Kellyo says, none of these stories make sense, but I remember I didn't make sense either in my college years. Did someone let the dog out and the killer entered? Yeah. You guys, I don't think that the house was locked. I think that sliding door was just perfectly open. Not like saying that it was just open, but it wasn't locked. There was no sign of forced entry. And the killer knew this. Like, now... At my college house, our door was always locked. But we didn't have like a slider like that, and we live in Cincinnati, in the city. I wasn't living in Idaho. But I don't think that the door being locked would have stopped this. Just because it was a targeted attack, right? Murph. What a cute name, Boston says. It's a Boston name, Murphy. It's a total Boston name. I could really easily be wrong. There's a lot of people in this case. Okay, so now you guys are going to get to theorize for the last 15 minutes with this bombshell of a question. I think it's somebody from the bar. I think it's somebody from the local bar. Ethan and Xana leave the fraternity house at 1 a.m., but they don't get home until 1:45 a.m. So where were they for those 45 minutes? And did they stop and get food? And at the bar, a lot of regulars hang out there. They're older. And what made those two girls go to that bar that night? Was that in the plans? They did not have a car on them that evening. College kids are just so unpredictable. So in a minute's notice, they could just decide, okay, hey, we're going to go stay at Susie's house tonight. Lots of stuff can go down at a bar. Well, the bar has been known, this place anyways, I did a bunch of research on it. It has a bunch of people that, you know, graduate from there, end up staying there. So it's kind of like a towny type area mixed in with your like your college, older kids that are on college campus. But it's got that, you know, town feel. Like it's not just all students. And if one of the girls got caught up with like talking to an older guy, the older guy happens to help buy somebody with a Range Rover because they think that they're going to be, you know, when a girl leads you on to think more than you're about to have, and then you find out, oh, hey, I'm going to Texas, like I'm taking that job and I'm leaving. What? What do you mean? Yeah. Then I'm taking the Range Rover with me. No, you ain't. Like, I mean, I don't know if that would be grounds to, like, no. Let's see. Lots of wood behind the house. Yep, they were looking back there. I really do think it could have been someone following them from the bar or party. It's just the type of people that you come across because of where you hang out. So like who were they hanging out with? And it's like somebody knew that if it wasn't targeted for Kaylee, that she was staying at the house that night, and she hadn't been staying there anymore because she moved out. Well, why'd she move out? Why didn't she stay all the way until January before her job? Like, why'd she move right now? Especially if you're paying for it. I think there's more surrounding, like, a lot of this that even when you're in college, you don't tell your parents about. Like, yeah, Mom, I bought myself a Range Rover. What? Well, yeah, I mean, I put X amount of dollars down, but I still have to pay, like, a monthly payment. Okay, well, how are you going to afford that monthly payment? Like, what's your job? Well, I took a job in Texas. So how are you paying for it for the next 2 months? well, I was thinking that you could help me. Or maybe she had enough saved up to pay for it until then. But again, you have to go back to what was your job? Hot ham, Boston. Octavia. Listen, we had a bar across the street from our college campus too, Paul's. Lana's theory is definitely reasonable. A lot of stuff went down at Paul's in college. I just don't think this was a college student. This was thought out. The guy who bought the Range Rover, does he live? I mean, I'm saying the guy who bought the Range Rover live in Moscow or near her hometown. No, I'm only saying that I question if she, in fact, bought the Range Rover. Her mom believes that she bought this Range Rover. Well, I think I would tell my mom that I bought it too. Because can you imagine, like, her boyfriend finding out about that? Some dude bought you a Range Rover? Like, wouldn't you be like, wait, what? I get that we're broken up, but geez. I would think that whoever bought somebody a Range Rover is freaking crazy. Like, you just started talking to this person. Or maybe they were, it just seems like a lot of moves all right before then there's this murder. Or four people are murdered. But there was a lot of moves leading up and until that day. A lot of things that were happening in their lives that weren't, normal from before. You get what I'm trying to say? It was just like a lot of things that were going on. Did a dude buy it? I'm saying that I think it's a possibility. Because I want to know where, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy this Range Rover and then just take it to Texas. Why wouldn't I buy the Range Rover in Texas so I wouldn't have to put all those miles on my brand new Range Rover? And see, I would have thought like that though as a college kid. But then if you have a lease, you can't be putting on miles like that. People lie all day, every day. Yes, they do, DJ. Agree. That's true. Lots of big drastic moves, but maybe she had tons of big moves. But I think you're right, Hot Ham says. But the mom was happy for her that she got the Range Rover, says Jen Madison. And didn't the mom say she got it because she started her new job? No, she said that she got it because she worked hard to get it. That she worked. Oh my God, is that her OnlyFans page? Oh, interesting.
Could that have been?
I forgot. Maybe that was her job.
I mean, some moms would be proud.
Must have needed it to Range Rover. Yeah, she was super excited about it, happy about it. Then she's taking this job, in Texas. Well, what was the job, for? I'm just saying, kids lie. But oh, so she saved up for it. That's how I interpreted the video, is that she saved up for it. OnlyFans influencers can make a lot of money. Yeah, and I mean, they're banging chicks. They're good-looking girls. I don't know if they all had OnlyFans. Got to take you all into the shop. I still need to get some milk, hon. Thank you. I'm going to go to a late dinner. Going to go get some Fireball. Going to see what Bella thinks about this case. What do you think about this case, Bella?
I think that her OnlyFans paid for her vehicle, and maybe her mom knew and was proud that her daughter was an entrepreneur no matter what. And I don't know if I agree with it being an older guy. I think it was someone that was obsessed with her and felt that maybe he could go over there and talk to her about it, and then so he had to kill all the people because they all knew who he was? No, I think he just maybe chickened out and just wanted to kill him.
What?
I feel like he was I'm just going to go tell her how I feel. And then he got there and then was like, screw this, she's never going to want me. I don't know. If you
They seem like they were fine though at the truck stop. I mean, I don't think it's off the table that the possible person that was being targeted was the one that had the boyfriend. I don't think that's off the table. For me, at least, that's still definitely on the table.
I just think that it's a very stalkerish, weird mentality. What happened? If they're saying it's, and they keep the language is always someone, like it's one person, and if that's really true and it's one person, this person's psycho.
This person picked a crazy. But think about it though. Are they really? Did they pick the wrong way to go about it? Because they're getting away with it right now.
No, what I mean is...
That's how I look at it.
They're psycho, meaning like, not like they're psych... You know what I mean? Like, they're just, like, that's insane. You're going to go into a house with 6 people there,
Mm-hmm.
and
think that you're...
And think you're walking out okay. It's a...
But it's all girls. I mean, what are they going to do?
It doesn't matter. Girls have nails. Girls have, like, golf clubs and baseball bats.
But they're hammered.
But that was...
And they're sleep... And think about it. On the weekends, I think this was a... But think about it. They went in and they were sleeping.
Yes.
So they waited till they were sleeping.
He knew. Right?
Yeah,
So
or she.
He or she watched them, knew kind of what they did. Or maybe even have been to the parties before. Like, but I feel like this person is just an awkward person.
Also, take a peek at this. So check this out. You're used to, if you're paying attention, you see all these vehicles that are there. So you're going to know, like, then you see that Range Rover. Okay, which maybe you're like, who's that? I don't even know what that is. But you're able to see these vehicles. So you're going to know based off the vehicles who's who, right? Mm-hmm. Who's home. Yeah. They waited till they went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, why did the killer go maybe there at 1:00 in the morning and realize that nobody was back yet? So then they just waited.
I think he's done a lot of waiting and spying. I think he has been to that house a bunch of times and observed a lot of things.
Yeah, because when you're throwing a party, you have no idea who's coming through your house. If it's that type of, like, depending on how you are with your... I mean, I wasn't letting randoms in my place, but, like, you had someone was vouching for you. Like, you're not... I had to know who you were. Oh, damn. Next new Lana rumor about her. Friend Bella kidding. See y'all later. Time for mom duties. Go take care of your mom duties, Eric Helio. I'm not shocked. In late 60s, a man named Richard Speck killed 8 nurses in one residence, stabbing and strangling by himself.
He did?
That's what
Richard Speck?
Yeah, Nancy wants us to remember that.
Is that Nancy S?
Love Nancy S.
Hi, Nancy S. With her cute little dog.
Oh. Now, do you think it's interesting that the dog was unharmed? I think that this says a lot about the killer, actually.
I think
it does.
Is one of the things I thought. Because when they said dog, it's like, did they do something to the dog?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think not killing the dog, because the dog's going to be sleeping right by where,
How did the dog not bark, though? Like a crazy dog, like a crazy person.
Well, even after the murders, let's say that the dog didn't bark, because if it was, okay, think about this then too. It's dark, it's pitch black. So if you're sleeping in your room and it's pitch black and I go in there, how do I know where the hell you even are? I just go stand over your bed and I just start stabbing away. And then I find out that there's somebody else in your bed, and now I just have to stab them.
Headlamp.
I'm just saying, think about it. Were these rooms dark? Were the lights off? Were they on? I mean,
what was the moon phase?
I don't know if we got to go that far, but I'm just saying, how are you stabbing somebody in the dark?
Maybe
Did they have tactical gear on, you think?
I mean, I think that this person thought this out. Maybe not necessarily the full kill, but either or. Either I'm going to get this person to understand, I'm stalking, to be with me. This is in my opinion only. Or
Oh my God, Hot Ham agrees with you. What was the moon phase?
It's true.
Don't get
though.
us started.
You can tell a lot by the moon phase. And Hot Ham knows because we're magical in your chat when we're together.
Maroney's mom is agreeing with you. Maroney's mom said, I agree with Bella. Well, which part of it? Because this is what we're going to be talking about over dinner. We're going to be talking about moon phases, and I'm going to be like,
Well, she's not going to listen.
I'm not. Definitely not.
You wouldn't even know she's a Pisces.
Oh my God, Pisces. You know, I might be interested to know if the lights were on or off. And you just go in someone's room and just like flick the lights on and say, "Hey, motherfuckers, here I am," and
Or
then
you
just
click on your little headlight and go.
How many samples or how many different like DNAs do you think were in that house? I'm guessing a shit. I mean, they took 4,000 pictures. 4,000 pictures. 4,000 pictures. That's a lot of pictures.
It's a lot. It's a lot of single. Like it's not, on continuous. It's on single shot. That's a lot of shots. Continuous, you could just rapid fire, like hammer down on the shutter, but one at a time. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what they said. 4,000.
It's a lot.
Mystical says, "Yeah, night vision goggles." That's what I was saying. He's stalking up the house. It was an older person. Guaranteed, he is in a picture of one of the girls' phones.
Who said it?
Maroney's mom.
Maroney's mom. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna agree there. I think it is an older person. I think that there had to be some like they had to have this like idea or do you think that it has to do with drugs? Because I don't. I don't think it has to do with drugs.
I think it has to do with OnlyFans.
Oh boy. Oh God, here we go.
I think someone was really attracted to her and thought that she was accessible.
But see, OnlyFans, you're not going to know where they live.
Depends on the OnlyFans.
Depends on how fanny she's getting. Fan fresh.
It depends if it's like college girl, Idaho college student OnlyFans, you know what I mean? Or if it's like a more mysterious OnlyFans. It just all depends.
I think somebody was, because think about this. She broke up with her boyfriend. She had that, she was just figuring out her. No, I think it was like she was going to try maybe attempt to like dating somebody. Maybe he was even married. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then she finds out that he's married and she's like, oh, fuck, get the hell out,
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm keeping the Range Rover.
Well, maybe the Range Rover has nothing to do. But the whole point is that that's just like a very big, I'm just saying there's a lot of moving pieces right before they're murdered.
So true. I agree with you.
So I think that does play into it. I think that somebody who's over here, wait, what do you mean you're taking a job in Texas? This is like all of a sudden, you're living there because you sign a lease, you're staying there, and the next thing you know, I'm going off and going to Texas. I think that's a huge trigger for somebody.
I 100% agree with that assessment.
That's a huge trigger.
I do think Texas did trigger someone.
And then you're seeing that you're like, oh my God, she got this Range Rover. Like, where'd you get this from? Maybe the person didn't even know she had an OnlyFans page and found out about it. Maybe the boyfriend didn't know that she had, but I just think that there's, her life was moving in a way that was a different pace than everybody else in terms of why would you be re-upping a lease only to know that you're graduating after and then why didn't you just live there until the January date or Christmas? Why did she move out when she moved out? Doesn't that just make it more difficult?
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, I only had 2 online classes, so I just wanted to be back at home. But then you're probably not even on that lease. You get what I'm saying? You would never sign up for that lease.
Yeah.
And then you have to ask these other roommates, what were y'all thinking? Then you're only going to go down to having how many roommates then? 4 in a 6-bedroom? So you're gotta like, okay, now everyone's gonna pay how much more money versus why didn't you guys ever fill those 2 spots? Or how about even going into that year? What if there in fact was a 6th person that we don't know about, and maybe like why they weren't a roommate anymore? Did something happen? But yeah.
Lots to think about.
Yeah, lots to discuss, lots for the cops to like. I mean, you know, it's when you just have one person murdered, but you got to deal with 4 families, you got to deal with 4 different lives, and then try to figure out, okay, but they said right off the rip that they thought somebody was targeted.
Yeah, they did.
And I think that has to do with the type of kill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing they would know at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the crime scene led them to believe that.
Absolutely. And then you know what that tells me is that it was a passionate, and we know it was a stabbing because they said, you know, now saying fixed blade instead of.
Okay. This is a big. Was she gonna go backpacking across Europe in January? Was that really happening? Because if that in fact was happening, you're buying your Europe. That's you're not just like you've already paid for that.
Yeah, you have.
So did the family buy that as like a graduation gift? Who was she going with? Or was she doing that alone? I mean, who does that alone? I mean, some of you people may. None of that sounds fun to me, by the way. I'll just go to some beaches that I want.
I don't want to I've never wanted to backpack across Europe, or stay in hostels. But yeah.
It was a big, big knife. The killer stabbed them from under the bed. Wait, what? Is this a new news?
Who said it?
Wait, what?
The killer was under the bed, stabbing up?
Plus, you buy a Range Rover before going to Europe, and then you go, like, it's just all weird.
All weird. Are we going to have a 6-course dinner? Because that's a lot to talk about over dinner.
Sure. We'll have a 9-course meal. I want to go to,
Don't you dare.
Olive Garden. Okay. Let's just let everybody think that we're going there and go somewhere else. Let's just fuck with people. We're way smarter than you guys, so. A knife? Wait, what? A knife under the bed? How would... Somebody was laying underneath the bed and stabbed up through? No, I don't believe that at all. Who's even saying that crap? If that's even true, now it's no longer a hunting knife and a machete borrowed from Jason Voorhees. People just pop in chat and write stupid stuff. But
no, it's like a fake
maybe it's not. Like, is Blind Squirrel still here? Getting drunk and letting these older dudes in the bar know, hey, I have an OnlyFans account, check it out. Like, yeah, no, I definitely. I mean, do you think that she was the only one that had OnlyFans? Like, why wouldn't... if you saw how the other people were being successful with it, I mean, they're all pretty girls. I mean,
No, she probably is.
As a former paramedic... Hi, Deb. As a former paramedic, Deb says, I can tell you that the explanation of the 911 call makes sense. I was once called to an injured child, and it turned out to be a gunshot. Yeah. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. It was... to me, makes perfect sense now when you actually look at it from the perspective of the girl fainted outside of the house, and that's what the unconscious person call was about. Law enforcement doing fake pressers is all... They don't plan on releasing any... They're doing another press conference? You guys, that man's face on the screen, I know it's up there for a reason. Just bait and switch here. I think it's interesting, Hot Ham says, that law enforcement keeps engaging with the public while holding it back so much, asking for help about very small, specific things. They definitely know a lot. Mystical. He seems to not worry about alarms or cameras. Feels as though he was in the house before. Maybe planted some cameras in rooms. Now that would be interesting.
Maybe he feels invisible to
Wait,
the whole
that's what her mom said? Oh, yeah, about backpacking. Yeah. Hi from Australia. Hi, Michelle. I love that I have the Aussies in here.
It's a good time for them. Maybe Mama Mia and Dark Steel.
Yeah, where are my Aussies? I love you guys. I was watching a snippet of Dave. It was like 20 seconds.
Bring Halloween back.
So all these Aussies. But thank you, Deb, for sharing. I agree. Okay, just let me know where. Where are we going? For dinner? All right, so yep, that's gonna round up episode 1 with the timeline. They're being very tight-lipped on it, because I think it was just, you know, in college you bounce around. Oh yeah, I saw him at the Sigma Chi. I saw him here. Then they were there. Like, so you just, okay. Well, someone's got to be tracking all of that, and but you want to go with the plan stuff. You know, when you get older, you're not as much as like, you know, popping all over.
Spontaneous?
Yeah, you're not as spontaneous as, you know, they're juniors and seniors, and not more so as like, you know, freshmen are going in like more of like packs as well. Like it just seemed like with these, you know, they were in twos.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I just, you know, if it was targeted, why not be able to just take out your target? Did something disrupt that?
Yes,
you
it
know,
did. Absolutely.
And was that being, you know, that another person was in that bed that they didn't think was, you know, going to be in that bed?
You hear it with the language that law enforcement uses. Some of them had defense wounds.
Well, that's because if you're sleeping next to somebody and someone gets stabbed, then like you know.
Exactly.
Did that person try to run out of the room and then they were grabbed? You know.
Or defend their friend. Probably defend their friend.
Or try to manhandle and take the knife. You know. But I think what I would scratch my head about is now, if Kaylee technically had a room there before, but it was being packed, like it was just like in disarray or whatever, because that's supposedly the rumors. Again, rumors, that's not from law enforcement. Did the killer go to her room first and realize that she wasn't in there and had to start going to like the different rooms, and that's why it was the way that it was? So think about this. If I'm coming here for you, Bella, and I know that your room is up on, you know, the 3rd floor, and it's the one on the right. So I get in, go upstairs, and I go to your room, and I'm like, holy shit.
It's packed.
You know.
Up.
Yeah, or it's just not in there. Like no one's.
I saw her come in.
Yeah.
What room is she in?
So then you're like, oh God.
Are we killing me?
Well, no, I'm just saying. Then I got to do what? I got to go to the next bedroom or I'm gonna go to your best friend's room, right?
Yeah, to look for me.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you were the target, I'm going to your room, but you're not in your room. So then I got to go to your friend's room. And did they not know which room was your friend's room? And they actually went into
Ethan and Xana's room. Maybe so.
You know, Element 1964. Nice job, Lan. I haven't watched you since the Watts, but I'm going to check in more often. I definitely got the joke about hey man's voice. Good, thank you. I'm glad that you popped back over from the Watts days, so that's nice. Yeah, definitely. I believe motive is power and control. Power and control over like. That's interesting. Jen says they should check who is in their circle. New anatomy, able to kill fast. Interesting.
Strong. Right?
Strong,
fast.
Well, it was everybody had multiple stab wounds though too. Too many stories for the girl moving to Texas for a new job, new Range Rover, and going backpacking in Europe. Why would they hire her in Texas if they knew she was going to Europe? I agree, Mert. I just think there's a lot of moving parts with that one. But I go back to like, let's talk about eliminating people when you're talking about if this was a targeted attack. could it mean that 2 people were targeted? I mean, they're sticking with that just 1 person was targeted. I think the parents are gonna release that. If law enforcement doesn't, because what I think it's gonna help with in the parents' eyes is, you know, we don't want this on our kid to think that they were targeted. And once you get it out on who was, then maybe people can start looking at that, helping out, in that life more, you know. Looking into these other people is wasting time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, let's see. The dad said they were told there was no pain. They didn't suffer and died quick, per Daily Mail article. Well, I think that's what I would tell every parent. I'm just saying, I wouldn't. Did they suffer? Did they, no. I would have to tell them that, even if it wasn't true, because I would want that for them. Oh, it's heartbreaking. LOL, Lana, I don't know if law enforcement has it all locked down. I'm just trying to think magically again, because I hope they do. I think every day that this continues to not have a major break in the case is not good. But I will say this. Think about it. What college kid has somebody over there cleaning? Nobody, okay? So I'm just saying, I think there's just gonna be so much DNA. And I don't know if you ask people, hey, are you guys willing to come forward and provide us with your DNA so we can, start eliminating these, I don't know. Ugh, it's just so sad. But yeah, Deb K believes that motive was power and control. And I agree with Jen saying you gotta check their inner circles, absolutely. And oh my god, I almost forgot I was gonna go backpacking in Europe. Yeah. Nobody would hire you. You would go backpacking before you started your job. I don't know. Octavia, I'll get on it. I'll find out what the Texas job was all about. Okay, hon? Hi, Chicken Head. So Ethan, Jinx says, so Ethan didn't suffer. They definitely told them that to make them feel better. Yeah, I think that they did too. Like I said, I know that I would. It is very sad, Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate that. You do a great job supporting. And thank you to all of you guys. Thank you for the super chats tonight. We'll see if what we can dig up over here in the next couple days. Check out my earlier video. It is the probable cause affidavit is out for Richard Allen. It came out redacted and very interesting. And I'm trying to get a guy that I know to come on and talk about some stuff that I think you guys will find rather interesting. But yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. Make sure you guys like the video, thumbs up it, and leave comments when you guys come across stuff. I'm always interested to see what you have to say, what you find, and you can always email me at lana@fightforafamily.com. So I'll put that in chat. Love. Fightforafamily.com. So there you go. Yeah, I don't believe this is a serial killer. I'm sorry, I don't. And I think over the next week, there's going to be bigger developments with this case, and it has to do with like patterns of life, like we're talking about here tonight. So, oh, Andrea, you're welcome. Thank you. Again, there's my email address if you ever need to get me something or whatever it may be. Xana's sister was also arrested on drug charges. Random? Are we sure? Was it? I know the mom was. Was that recent? Thank you, Mystical. Appreciate your kind words. Everyone in Idaho has a knife. It's Idaho. No, Idaho. Stop calling me a hoe. Come on now. All right, guys, take care, and we will do this again. Again, make sure you guys check out that previous video if you're interested in the Delphi case. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, members. Consider being a member. Thank you, subscribers. Hit that join button. Do whatever it is that you do to get your notifications. All right, guys, until next time. Take care.
Still here we are, both of us lonely, longing for shelter from all that we see. Why should we worry? No one will care, girl. Look at the stars, so far away. We've got tonight. Who needs tomorrow? We've got tonight, babe. Why don't you stay? Deep in my soul, I've been so lonely.